Welcome to the D-Shift podcast, where we provide inspiration, motivation, and education to help you transition from the challenges of divorce to discover the freedom and ability to live life on your own terms. Are you ready? Let's get this shift started. Hello, and welcome to an episode of the D-Shift podcast that I guarantee you is going to have you reconsidering some of the thinking that you're doing right now. So I want to introduce you to somebody that I met recently, but who is just a phenomenal woman, Anaiis Salles. She is, I got to tell you about this lady. She has spoken on stages with Deepak Chopra, Dr. Norm Shealy, and Dr. Dean Ornish, among many others. She has been an energy healer. She is an energy healer, an author, and she is a former educator, an EMT, and she now helps people restore energy, heal those wounds that we have deep inside of us, those emotional wounds. And also, she has created something that I want her to talk about a little bit today, and that is the 9 essential universal questions and how that all ties in to living in this world that we're in. So, Anaiis, welcome.
Thank you, Marty. It's great to be here. I appreciate it.
It's absolutely wonderful to have you. So I probably did not do a very thorough job of your background. So can you tell the listeners a little bit about you and what your area of passion is?
My area of passion is consciousness. I've always been a seeker. I was a seeker from age 3, 4, 5, only I didn't know that was, in a sense, the archetype that I was living through. So I've had moments throughout my life that have been incredibly magical, keys turning, doors opening into spaces that I was just like, what is this? And then practical things that happen in that same way where I meet amazing people. Like I was in St. John the Divine in New York when the Dalai Lama was visiting to do his Kali chakra initiation that he does. And the chapel itself was packed. And so I had moved off to the side of the main chapel. And I was just standing there very quietly because I was hoping to get a glimpse of the Dalai Lama. He comes walking through with his entourage. The universe put me there. I didn't know to stand there. He comes walking through. He stops. He walks over to me. He takes my hand and greets me. And I'm like, pinch me now. You know what I mean?
No kidding. How amazing.
So that's the seeker in me, wants to feel these connections and has a sense that they're global. We're so much more than we realize. And so that's who I am. I've had a number of wonderful experiences. Not one of them has involved drugs or even alcohol. And so it's exciting to be living in this time because so many people are starting to just ask, what is my life purpose? Is there something in the way of it that I need to shift? And I think that's where you're very helpful with a lot of people.
Yeah, and that's interesting you say that, because sometimes all we hear is this gloom and doom. The world is so polarized, whether it's politics, religion, racial issues, employment issues, financial, like it just seems like there's so many extremes. But I love that you're saying that you're seeing more and more people trying to find out what they're really supposed to be doing here.
Yes. It's in every conversation that I hear.
Yeah.
It literally is part of every conversation. And some of the people that I'm like you, that you found what is the thing that you are meant to be doing and you're doing it. And that's part of this beautiful mosaic that is what I see.
Right. And do you think that maybe, and I'd never really thought of this until just now, so this may come off really half-baked, but do you think this sense of grabbing onto those polar ends of everything is a way for people to feel like they're part of something when they don't really have a sense of who they are and what they're doing?
It's better to be a part of something dark than part of nothing at all.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a much better way to put it. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, I think some people are experimenting with that. I hope it works for them.
Yeah. Drop us a line and let us know how that works.
Postcards from the edge, right?
Yeah. So, Anaiis, you have done a lot of work on developing, um, you know, ways to explain to people how maybe patterns of behavior and problems with relationships are really an internal factor. Yes, there's the problem with the partner, but that even choosing that partner may be partly your issue, right? Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I always think this is so fascinating.
It's an amazing conversation because when we're in a dynamic with another person who we care about, who we love, who we've invested time, energy, and lots of hours and wanting it to be solid and stable. And then as you're living through it day to day, the less you are in touch with your own deep inner center, the less able you are to see the cracks and to move into a relationship with those cracks that's productive. And I think that's an amazing opportunity for every one of us who's gone through that. I've been through it. Because that's why the questions are important. In the compare and contrast, if you're asking for the truth, am I really happy here? Are they really happy here? If we're not happy, why aren't we?
Right.
Have we just grown apart? Is there some essential part of us that we kept hidden or down or packed away in a suitcase when we first met? And by the time we decided it was time to take that out and say, look at this, the other person was already out the door.
Right.
I don't know a better way to say it, but the inner work brings us to the point where we can be present with that, and we can feel every feeling because it hurts, but we can also stay in that place where we're not grabbing at the dark edges and holding on out of terror, because that's not a life.
Right. Right. And I think, that whole idea of when you're experiencing problems, whether it's a marital relationship, a coworker, your kids, or whatever, is to really take a look at what's my role in this. That's really not what we're trained to do, right? We're trained to go, listen, buddy, I know exactly what the problem is, and let me tell you how to fix it, right?
Yeah. I think we're in a shift, because I actually think that way of approaching relationship is out picturing from the distorted masculine. Because the job of the masculine energy, from my understanding as a seeker, structure, stability, form, coherence, making it right, making it good, making it work. This is what guys do.
Right.
They're fabulous at it. But when they're unable to be in balance with the feminine energy, which is a whole different way of approaching things, then we get into the finger pointing, and it's just like that's not helpful.
Right.
But you turn that around and you go, okay, I think I should sit myself down and have a good look at me and get help and talk to someone else, so that I'm not stuck in the polarization. It's right or it's wrong. It's good or it's bad. I mean, there's no life there.
Right. So you talked about some of the characteristics of masculine energy. What are the characteristics of feminine energy?
The feminine energy is, in a way, compensating for structure needing to be able to morph, to flow, to change, to develop new aspects, to be able to turn a perspective and see those all from a feeling space. Feminine is feeling. And we come into our masculine with how we go into our analytic thinking and how we can do structure. But most women who are truly carrying a feminine energy, and anybody can carry both or all or none, really. It's I wonder, how do I feel? What is this feeling telling me? How do I listen to it? How do I have the courage to trust it and then share it? And then just stay open and vulnerable at the same time. You're super powerful.
So that's really interesting because I've got to say, from what you described, I'm probably pretty heavy on the masculine energy side. I mean, I'm like, I think there are ways to do things, and there's protocols, and there's logic, and there's structure, there's things that need to be done in certain sequences. I don't have a problem with any of that. And it takes me sometimes a little bit of I don't know what, courage almost to trust my intuition, because I'm like, that's like one of those soft skills.
It's a wonderful place of exploration, and it's actually something that more of us need to just trust that it's something we should be at least checking out. One of the things I like to say to people all the time is, so, can you see oxygen?
No.
Can you feel oxygen?
No.
Right? But if you don't have oxygen, you're in deep trouble, because it's part of what you need to live. Intuition is the same way. So I try to encourage people, just imagine that your intuition is a form of invisible oxygen that you need to breathe. You just need to breathe it and trust that it's there. And when you allow that to happen, you get a different kind of information. It's very valuable.
Right. And we've all heard stories, and I'm going to bring this back to relationships. I have talked to so many women who have told me on the day of their wedding, they were pulling up to the church or the temple or the whatever, wherever, the mosque, wherever they got married, they pulled up there. And there was something inside of them saying, just tell the driver to keep on going. But they were like, well, no, I paid for this, I paid for that, my family's here, and it can't be that bad. I'll make it work. And they've gone through with the marriage. And some of them have known, like from the I do, literally, that this was on a deadline. There was already a timer ticking on how long this was going to last. What do you think it takes, or why don't we trust that feminine energy, that intuition, that comfort with being not in those rigid forms?
I think in the Western world, in our world that we live in, education has very, very intentionally removed art, removed music, removed play, removed any free form of anything that's just purely imaginative and creative, which is what the feminine energy is. And when you keep putting that energy down or in a box, and people are not allowed to access it as they feel it,
right,
we can't trust it, because we can't make the connection between the feeling and something that was fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, I love that idea. And as somebody that's not musical or artistic or anything like that, I still see the value in trying, like playing around, exploring. And you are so right. I am in Texas, and let me tell you, there are schools shutting down their art programs, their band programs, their everything else, but they're putting up these huge football stadiums. You got to wonder what's going on. Yeah. So I get that. I totally get that. How do you see this playing out? I know you talk about having to heal wounds, and we've talked about looking inside, but you really work with people to learn how to heal wounds, because there's one way to look inside and go, okay, I have a bad relationship with my mom or my dad, or maybe it's a generational trauma thing that's gone on. And I didn't mean thing as in to minimize it. That was a bad way to phrase that, but a generational trauma that has been going on. How can we start to heal ourselves, or work with somebody like you to help us heal ourselves?
That's such a great question. When people come to me, the first thing that they get is permission to breathe that oxygen that they can't see. It's feeling. I have a very simple formula. When you're in your brilliant resilience, when you're tapped into your birthright bliss, you are in feel, flow, focus, and form. We live inside the forms that our energy creates. So you don't have to be an artist. You can wiggle, you can dance, you can hum, you can whistle, you can go dig in the garden. There's so many ways to just let the feeling be what leads you and not cut it off with the mind. That's what the bride does. She's like, I paid for the dress. My father paid for the wedding. I can't just say no. Of course you can. Of course you can.
Yeah.
There's a trust that happens with that. And there's an energy that would come with that would be, I'm trusting what is really good for my life right now and probably good for this other person's life. I'm going to have the courage to trust that there's a way to work this out where it will not just be a stinking disaster that will be cringeworthy for the rest of our lives.
Right.
If there was love there, that's where you go. You go to what was the love and how do I reach with my intuition to just keep touching that and communicating and opening space for just, I don't know the answer. You don't know the answer, but let's feel what we feel and see if we can come to a truth that we both actually can recognize.
Do you think, so I'm really putting you on the spot today. You don't have to answer this question, by the way, but do you think if one person in a relationship was to be that authentic and that vulnerable to make that statement to another person, if there is some kind of love there, do you think that one person can shift the partner? You know what am I making sense there?
Mm-hmm. It's a great question because as women especially, we're entrained to believe that that's our job. In order for that to happen, I have to be in self-love and the other person has to be in self-love. Neither of us may be there. Neither of us may know how to get there. What's the one thing that we can hang on, touch with, respect, with patience, even just for a couple, like a breath, a minute, and feel? We've got to feel the pain. We can't skip over it. We really can't. People want to skip over the pain all the time. It's like that's where so much information is.
Right.
That you stay deaf, dumb, and blind to because you just don't want to feel. We can help each other. What I talk about today with my program, 9 Essential Questions, is we shift out of why. Why me? Why this? What total waste of time. Unless you're going for forensics. Like there was an airplane crash and we want to know if there's something wrong with the Boeing 747. We want to know that. Then we're going to ask why. But why is useless. You want to ask better questions like, what if I actually would be willing to feel and say what it is that I'm feeling and just let it hang in open space and not have to have it resolved immediately? Like, what would that be like? So we go through the questions because this is the information that saved my life when I was 24. I was dying. And I started out laying on the sofa, listless. I was down to 80 pounds. One kidney was failing. I mean, it was a mess. I was a young mother and a wife. And I was like, you don't want to go to that place where you're feeling sorry for yourself, for sure. But some other deeper wisdom said, put the why me down, leave it alone, and ask better questions. What is really going on here is the number one best question you can ever ask in any situation, as long as you're willing to hear the truth. Because if you ask, you're going to get the truth. What is really going on here? You're going to know. And then that information can be empowering. It can be incredibly creative and releasing. It can also be, all right, something has to change here. And then you keep asking, what if? And what's really going on in the next space? That brings you into presence. And that's such a beautiful thing.
Well, and I am really learning and changing the way that I am thinking to just focusing on what can I control? What is my why right now? Like what am I doing right now in this moment? Because we waste, I forget, and I'm making this number up, so don't anybody quote me on this one. Something like 75 to 90% of our thoughts we have repetitive. There's not anything new. It's those same old coulda, woulda, shouldas, or the oh my God, the sky is falling thoughts, rather than something that's actually a creative, unique, or present thought. Is that accurate?
Absolutely. And the sad thing is that we're in such a state of slumber, really, in terms of awareness and how the perspective that we have on the moment. We're living in a state of separation. That's what we live in. And then your goal, your challenge, your life purpose is going to pull you right out of that and show you that if you're going to continue to live in a state of separation, you're never going to get to your life purpose. It'll never happen. So taking the risk, that's the thing that women are doing now. And they're basically coming to the masculine energy and they're saying, this is what I'm feeling. I'm going to take the risk of communicating this to you. I'm not going to fix you. You're not going to fix me. We're just going to be present with what is. I'm not going to control you. You're not going to control me. We're going to learn these new behaviors. We're in kindergarten right now.
Right, right. But I can just imagine how freeing that would be in a relationship to be able to speak that way. And whether it's a relationship with a partner or your sister or your mom or your friends or whatever, to be able to speak that way and not have to be so guarded and so concerned about how is this going to land on the other person.
Yeah, and that's a skill set. And you do it in small increments. I had a lot of challenge doing that with my romantic partners, with husbands, and I've been through that whole thing so many times. And now I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Before I would do that again, it would be 2 years of really focused getting to know every bit before I would even think about we should go to the next step, right? But I have with my children, because of the way I approached my life after I healed from being sick, and I did that from the inside. That was a gift that came from the inside, and it was remarkable because I healed something that was surgically impossible to heal, and I healed it. My body healed it. When we go to that place, we're able to say, I need to speak with you. Can we go for a walk? Can we have a cup of tea? And it's the energy that you carry. It's your attitude. Like, I'm not going to attack you. I have a question. I would love if you would help me with your perspective on this question, because I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah, just the way you and again, there's some relationships that are not going to be salvaged, and that's okay. Then being comfortable, at least knowing that you're letting go for those reasons and being clear, and then doing, oh, I really love this conversation. We can go on for forever, but believe it or not, we are out of time already. I
Okay.
just minutes, it's just gone. Who knows? What is the thing that you, of all the things that you have shared, because you've shared some really great information, what do you think is the top of the mind thing you want people to remember?
I think it's the top of the heart thing. And that's the feeling you have about yourself. And if you could start with you, the one person that you actually do have some control over, and you start there and you really feel like, I heard myself saying something in my mind earlier today that was so unkind. Where did that come from? I'm going to sit down, maybe I take a piece of paper and a pen and I write out what that was and I ask, what is really going on here? And the information comes when you ask the question. It's like, is that the voice of an old teacher? Is that the voice of a grandparent? Whose voice is that? And if that voice is really authentic to me and it's not coming from anywhere else, which is almost really impossible, how do I just, like the Dalai Lama, decide that kindness is a good place to begin?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a fantastic message. And that's something we all need to take that to heart and just, gosh, you are so inspirational. And I feel like I need to do some self-improvement as we get off recording this, seriously.
Okay.
But I love the way that it's so practical and it's something we can all do because we can all ask ourselves the question, what is really happening here?
Yes, we can.
Fantastic. And you said people want to find out more about you and what you do. What's the best place to do that?
I think the best place is if you're on a computer, on a phone, if you are familiar with LinkedIn, you can find me on LinkedIn. Anaiis Salles. Living Lessons Library is the name of my business because I believe we are each a Living Lessons library. We have a lot to learn from each other. Should be easy to remember that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm going to make sure that's in the show notes as well. So if you're, if you get home or if you are busy doing something else, you'll always be able to go back and grab that link and connect up and follow Anaiis and find out all her words of wisdom that she's going to share with you throughout her many posts and things that she does. And she also has some great courses. So you can get in touch with her and find out when her courses are launching. So thank you so much for being here, Anaiis. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Fun!
Again. And I want to thank everybody for listening in. And don't forget to tune in again for the next episode of The D Shift. Thanks for listening and supporting the D Shift podcast. If you would like to attend live trainings by our amazing guests and have a chance to ask questions and get answers from our experts, join the D Shift crew. For more details and to sign up, head on over to www.divorcecoachforwomen and click on the podcast page.